Welcome to OM Report by Andre Alpa, your interview-focused podcast on topics from online marketing to internet startups.
Welcome to the Matt Cutts AMA.
So for folks who haven't seen it, last year we tried making a video that said what to expect from Google SEO in this coming summer. A few people might have seen it. And one of the things that I talked about was what came to be known as a payday loan update.
Yes.
That handles really, really spammy queries. So I just wanted to let people know that the second part of the next iteration of that algorithm will be launching pretty soon. Normally we don't talk about future dates, but
you just launched it.
It's another aspect to it is going to be launching probably later this week, maybe as soon as tomorrow. So we'll see whether that.
When you say another aspect,
we need a number.
What do you mean an aspect of it?
The payday loan, just call it what you want. Give it whatever number you want. But the next part of the algorithm will launch probably tomorrow if all the binaries go out to the data centers correctly.
But how is that different from the thing you rolled out 2 weeks ago?
They tackle different things. So, you can look at spammy queries or you can look at spammy sites. And so there's different aspects of the algorithm.
What were you doing before?
Spammy sites.
Spammy sites. So you found the spammiest of the spammiest. Payday was sort of like, alert.
Yeah. And now we're looking more at the spammy queries.
What sort of queries should we look at to see who's going to be saddest the most from this?
Well, the queries that are likely to be the spammiest, right? Like payday loans, casinos, debt consolidation, those sorts of things, in theory it could affect sites that are doing counterfeit kind of things, although that wasn't a specific intent. So we'll see. We'll see how people like it when it rolls out. Speaking of better notifications with webmasters and better process there, we've been having a lot of engineers working on reconsideration requests and trying to figure out how to do that better. It certainly takes a lot of time to handle linking reconsideration requests and all that sort of thing. Some of the experiments we tried, one in particular was we had kind of an appeals process where if you submitted a reconsideration request and it was denied and you submitted a reconsideration request again, then we might select you for higher touch processing, which means we would actually correspond with you and give you examples and sort of talk you through what was going wrong on the reconsideration request process.
I feel like it's somebody coming in for landing on an aircraft carrier. Okay,
you're a little high, low. Bring up, pull back on the stick, you're too low. Goose, yeah, no.
Goose.
So that process worked well, but we were only doing that for some sites. And so what we're starting to do is we're building into our templates for the reconsideration requests an open text area, such that if there's a web spam analyst and they're looking at a reconsideration request and they want to just drop a note to the site, it's like, no, not here, here, look here, these are the spammy links, or here's what you're getting wrong, or here's what you're mistaken about. And I think we're going to use that functionality today. There's a very large site that did a reconsideration request.
What site is that?
I probably shouldn't go into which site it is.
Right.
You've heard of it.
We won't tell anybody.
Yeah, no one tweet, right? The Wi-Fi will stay up.
The Wi-Fi is totally off, so you're...
That's true. We're relatively
it's like a zone of safety.
Yes, a cone of silence here. So that site will be getting a rejection of the reconsideration request, but we're going to take advantage of that functionality to say, look, here are some examples of sort of the duplicate content or the examples of overlap that you guys should.
But you were already sending out examples.
Well, we were sending out categories, and then for links, we would sometimes send out examples of links. But now, anytime we reject a reconsideration request, the web spam analyst has an option to fill in more information there. Now, a lot of the times it's cut and dry, black and white. There's not much need to do that. Update,
filter, adjustment, or whatever you guys want to call it may have impacted your rankings.
Yeah, no, that's fair feedback. What happened on that update is the payday stuff mostly went out over the weekend, and the Panda stuff was scheduled to go out on like Tuesday or Wednesday. And we had an interesting indexing situation where sometimes the documents pile up a little bit because you realize you have to re-index them for one reason or another. Normally we do like to spread those out in time so that people can have a clear idea of what happened at what time. In this particular case it didn't work out that way.
But they wouldn't need to be spread out if you could just go into your dashboard and say, you've been impacted by Panda.
Well, so usually when we show things in Webmaster tools, what we want is to show notifications that are actionable, so someone can like very clearly do something about them. Whereas with Panda, it's here's the blog post. You know, it's a longer term thing. It's not like a manual action. It's a little bit harder. And the other thing is, there's over 500 different algorithms. Now, it's fair feedback that maybe we should think about whether to include that for Panda or Penguin. If you haven't paid attention to Webmaster Tools for a little while, you might want to circle back around to it. We have done fetch and render as Googlebot, which is indicative of the fact that we can actually execute JavaScript and Ajax and all that sort of stuff now. So you can see a thumbnail of what Googlebot actually looks like to Google, you know, for your site. So for my site, for example, I had blocked the CSS, and it looked like a pretty text-heavy page. You couldn't see the design at all. And it really does help if you unblock your JavaScript and your CSS.
So you guys really are trying to make fetch happen.
Yes, we are trying to make fetch happen. And if you don't unblock your JavaScript and CSS, then you might miss out, because we are getting better and better at page understanding. And if we aren't able to understand your page, then you might not get all the full credit that you deserve.
Oh my God, you mean stuff I have hidden in my JavaScript, if you can't read it, might be held against me in a court of law?
If the page looked like, for example, it would be helpful to determine the main content of the page. And if we can't do that as easily because you have everything blocked and we can't crawl the whole site,
right,
then we might not be able to give you the prominence that it deserves. But that's just a tiny little bit of the stuff that's coming with Webmaster Tools. Over the course of the next few months, I would expect more and better help with robots.txt testing. I'm really excited about the idea that you could do easier online testing, and that will be a lot more interactive. We've already done better documentation for site moves, and I think that we are going to continue to explore how we can make site moves work better for site owners, which I think will be helpful, and especially with Nominet, you know, the .uk registry is opening up. Not just
Stephen Fry really screwed up with that.
Well, we always have to deal with duplicate content. That's like our cross to bear. But I think we're going to introduce some new tools to help with that.
Okay.
I would also expect things like better reports about hreflang so that people can see. It turns out a lot of people get that sort of stuff wrong. When you're trying to mark up, this is the German version of our site, this is the French version, and show this for these languages, a lot of people get that syntax incorrect. And so if you show some better reports, that'll help. And then over time, as we do more app indexing, I think if we could show error reporting, that would be really, really helpful. So keep your eyes on Webmaster Tools. I know everybody in this audience probably uses it, but let other people know, you know, it makes sense to circle back.
Why can't they just disavow the links and I can stay out of the whole thing?
It's a fair question, but if they could just disavow the links and you would stay out of the whole thing, then somebody could spam, get caught, immediately just do a disavow. They could keep a list of all the spam links they were building them and then just do a disavow overnight and hope to get out of the penalty box immediately. And that's really not fair to the other people who are trying to compete on a level playing field. So I take the point that you know, maybe the pendulum has swung too far on the link walk of shame in terms of, you know, the amount of work that they have to do ends up creating some work or stress for real publishers, you know, the metafilters of the world, or I've been known to get a link removal request, which is awesome. Hilarious. I love it. Yeah. I did take it down, by the way, because they were very nice and polite, you know.
While you're at it, I was noticing that you seem to write a lot about Google. Do you know anybody over there that could maybe just get me out of the penalty?
Yeah, right. So, but it is tricky because we do want to make sure that all the people who have been trying to do things the right way, the honest way, the white hat way, aren't put at a disadvantage by the people who are just going to spam and jam, churn and burn, do a black hat thing, and then immediately try to disavow it when they get caught. So that's the tension there. And we're open to feedback on how to make that better for everybody while still hard for the people who have been trying to cheat.
Remember when you said we were going to get like all of our keyword data for a whole year in Webmaster Tools nearly a year ago?
I think I remember that.
Do you have an announcement on there?
I don't. The folks are still working on that.
All right. Okay.
But I saw a tweet earlier today that was like, set a calendar reminder every 90 days, you know, to download the links. Yeah, it's not ideal, I know, but you still can get the data.
I'm not even going there. I'm not even going there.
All right.
I already went there. Hey, just, you know, give us the data forever, because you guys have all the machines. You can if you could drive a car automatically to the moon, you can store our data forever. So, storing all our other data, it's just a few keyword terms. It's not like you got rid of them. All right.
I will pass that feedback on.
Let's Sergey now. Earlier this year, you declared that guest blogging for links was dead. And then this week, I've got some major brand being reported as blogging for links. So did they not get the memo? Is that... I mean...
You will be shocked to learn some companies take a while to get the memo about spammy behavior. But sometimes it takes a while for people to get the message.
All right, so
we take action, we're willing to take action. I mean, there's been a large number of companies in a large number of blog networks that we've taken action on. So
at this point, it would be easier if Google told us what links were okay rather than what's not column. Or, dear Google, should we just no-follow everything type of thing? So is link building just dead at this point? Are you basically saying people should not even try to proactively gain links?
No, link building is not dead. I think there's a very interesting bubble around this room. Link building's not dead. Yes, you're telegraphing it further. So I think the people in this room have a very different view of the web than like a lot of average regular people. So a lot of people in this room are like, links are so hard to come by, and they're all no-followed. And the fact is, like a very small percentage of links on the web are actually no-followed. And so if you look at the overall mass, that's not the way that the actual web works. So I think that there's a lot of mileage left in links, and I've said that before, and I still continue to believe that.
Well, I'm not saying that there's not mileage in links. I'm talking about the obtaining of links.
Well, there was an interesting, so Dwayne Forrester from Bing did an interesting post, which some found controversial.
What's that, Bing?
Yes. Yeah, it's a perfectly fine search engine.
Bing, a perfectly fine search engine.
It's completely adequate.
I'm somewhat familiar with it. Yeah.
Get me in trouble.
Satya Nadella is changing the tagline right now.
Satya seems like a nice guy.
Yeah, he's a nice guy.
So Dwayne wrote an interesting post that some people found controversial, but I thought was interesting, which basically said, if you know the source of where your links are coming from, you're on the wrong path. Now that's going a little bit far, like it's taking it a little bit to the extreme, but it's also the case that if you do enough excellent, interesting, useful, funny, compelling stuff, usually your reputation, or your links, however you want to think of it, takes care of itself. Because, somebody wrote to me on Twitter today and they're like, what's your link building strategy, Matt? And I was like, I post useful things. And that's my link building strategy. And there's a lot of different variants of that. There's all kinds of ways to add value to the web. You can be the person who does good analysis. You can be the person who writes interesting research. The person who takes data and slices it and dices it and then visualizes it in a way that no one's ever seen before. You can have a perspective that no one else is able to really replace. Think about the Walt Mossbergs of the world. And you can't become Walt Mossberg overnight, but you can build up to it. You can build up to it in smaller niches and then build up your topic area more and more and more until people know that you're the person to go to for reviews of this product or this area. And over again, and I think this is true for pretty much everybody in the audience, it's easier to be real than to fake being real. The era of shortcuts that would guarantee #1 rankings is quickly coming to an end. And at this point, it's easier to just have those authentic conversations and do the work and get to be known the honest way, because that's what stands the test of time.
And I think the content, like at BuzzFeed, look at these pictures of how dinosaurs had sex. That is linkable quality. You did a video saying about assessing a page without links. Could that really work? Because you kind of basically said it's really hard. That you really need links a lot to
No,
you did.
No, in the old days, search engines didn't have links, and they worked pretty well. You'd get 20% porn in Alta Vista, but 80% of the time it worked every time.
Would it work now? Could you go completely off links, cold turkey?
It would be, well, the context for that video was, how do you score without links? Are there other things to look at? And there's a lot of other things. If you were trying to do the full-fledged operation, so assessing the quality and the topicality and the reputation without links entirely, that would be tricky. That would be hard.
What's going on with AuthorRank? You've been using it for in-depth articles.
We have.
Anything else?
Nice try. Come on, I can't get into the secret sauce that much.
What's the secret? So you said yes or no? What's the secret sauce? How secret is that? Yes, now if you were deemed an authoritative author, that might help you rank a little bit better. Oh my God! The world's come to an end. They made it run for shelter.
I've said before, I think the long-term trend is that we will use that data more, but as far as the specific instances, I probably can't get into detail.
You can't say if it's being used in regular web search. Because Eric's all like, author rank's coming.
Well, I think, look, if Danny Sullivan posts on a random forum,
yeah,
I would be interested in that, right? It doesn't matter that it's a random forum because it's Danny Sullivan, and his opinion is inherently interesting to me because of my background and context.
Okay, Matt.
Okay, Matt.
Thank you very much for that.
Yeah. So I'm a big fan of the idea behind author rank. Now, as far as what the timeline looks like, how the logistics work, all that sort of stuff, that's a difficult problem, and we have to figure out how to solve it.
What's going on with negative SEO? How aware are you of it, and are you doing anything to stop it?
We're very aware.
Does that mean you admit it's a possible thing that happens and it's plaguing and killing small businesses?
We're very aware because people are worried about it, and we design our algorithms such that we try to make sure that it's not a realistic attack to do. So for example, the first half of the payday loan algorithm stuff that rolled out just a few weeks ago incorporates a lot of protections against negative SEO. So we've talked about Hummingbird, and one of the ideas behind Hummingbird was that we wanted to help deal with natural language conversation a lot better. So for example, I'll try doing some natural language searches, which probably won't work because I think the net is probably mostly dead, but okay, Google now. Where is the Space Needle? And then we have to see whether
I'm racing you.
Oh, you won.
Space Needle is at 400 Broad Street, Seattle.
I want to see pictures.
Pictures of Space Needle.
Who built it?
The Space Needle was designed by Edward Carlson, Victor Steinbrück, and other architects.
How tall is it?
The Space Needle is 605 feet tall.
Show me some restaurants near there.
Here are the listings for restaurants within 0.8 miles.
How about Italian?
Here are the listings for Italian restaurants within 0.9 miles.
Navigate to the first one.
Navigating to the pink door.
So now, that's live right now. That's regular Google search.
What is white hat link building, and should I trust companies who advertise that as a service?
Well, link building as a service often tends to be high risk. And let me just say, every pitch, every tool that you've heard today at this conference can be beaten with creativity. If you come up with something compelling, that's what's the real hook that's going to make a big difference. So link building as a service, I was talking to somebody yesterday, and he said he was actually trying to build authentic organic links with tracking where he didn't care about whether he didn't want them to flow PageRank. He just wanted like real links. And after like 3 weeks, he was unable to find a single vendor who was able to like provide that was not in a spammy sort of way, which is sort of discouraging. But it is certainly possible to do white hat link building. Usually it's called being excellent, right? There are a lot of, like, take search engine land, right? You broke off from your old site, you started fresh, and yet now you have a very, search engine land is known as one of the most authoritative places to go on the web. You didn't cheat, you didn't take shortcuts, you went right up the middle and you earned it with sweat. And that's the best way to do white hat link building in my experience. Sweat plus creativity helps a lot.
OMReport and Andre Alpa would like to thank you for your attention. You can get more episodes on www.OMReport.com.